Oh, anyway, let's just go live.
Here we go.
So you want to know how to get more flexible? Well, in today's episode, I'm going to show you an epic hack that has delivered incredible results for Rad, myself, and Richard. We're going to introduce eccentrics and isometrics to your flexibility program. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. We're back. It's Friday, guys. We're going to do a massive weekly wrap up. Now, I am here on my own. Rad has completely lost his voice. He's literally sitting out there crying about it. But we'll get out on the gym floor and we're going to show you some really, really cool little hacks that we've used to massively level up our flexibility game. Today, we're talking about sort of I guess in expanding our mindset around stretching and flexibility to introduce what we call eccentric and isometric stretches. And the most obvious way I can explain this before we go out onto the gym floor and take a look is think of an eccentric movement like a Romanian deadlift. And I'll use this as a great demonstration when we get out onto the gym floor. On the way down, as we lower you down nice and slowly with a weight in that Romanian deadlift movement, we are actually stretching or elongating the hamstrings. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn to incorporate those style of movements into a stretching routine or program. We're also going to talk about the idea of isometric contraction, which is really contracting the muscle to its maximum extent without creating any movement whatsoever. Now I'm just going to quickly see if I can update this page and see if I am...
Yeah, you are.
I'm definitely live.
Yep, you are.
Richie's confirmed that. It's very strange, it's not coming up on my my laptop, but anyway, that is all good. Oh, there we are. Beautiful. I'll just mute my computer. This way I can see, just in case any questions come up from you guys. So anyway, look, if we haven't met, my name is Yanni Baumeister. I'm one of the founders here at Unity Gym and also one of the founders of the Foundation Movement System. We have our Foundation Movement System online. I'll say a very quick shout out to, I think, the over 300 new people that joined up during our 72-hour flash sale. You guys have grabbed yourself an amazing 18-minute daily stretch routine, and you've also grabbed yourself what I think is more important, the first phase of our online Foundation Movement System program, which gives you access to our Movement Mastermind tribe. It's a fantastic group of people. Get yourself in there. If you're watching for the very first time, make sure you introduce yourself to the tribe. We'll all jump in. We'll be scouring that over the weekend to say hello and get you guys up to speed. We've got some really, really great moderators in there helping us out, Blakely and Tom, who will also make you feel really welcome. And the tribe is just awesome in general. So get yourself as active as you possibly can in there. Make the most of this 6 weeks, because you will get a lot of great feedback from the tribe. You can post videos, you can do all sorts of stuff. It's really, really cool. A lot of, some people come in, they get a program and they don't utilize the Movement Mastermind enough. And there's a lot of people after a 6-week trial who like that the most. They like the online tribe the most. That's the most beneficial thing out of the program. And I certainly agree. That was the biggest, I guess, goal for Rad and I, was to create this movement mastermind. A mastermind is a collective of people all moving in the same direction for a common goal. And we leverage each other's strengths, weaknesses, and knowledge and experience. So very, very cool thing. Anyway, let's talk about eccentrics and isometrics and get out onto the gym floor. So one of the big things that we are going to cover, we started this series of videos yesterday and we're going to continue right through to next week, is how to level up your flexibility game. Now, last year we created, in 2018, Rad and I created a flexibility blueprint, which was a report essentially of the 7 biggest breakthroughs that we have learned over the last 20 years that leveled up or produced the biggest level up to our flexibility game. And this was a big deal for us, because when we transitioned from doing sort of traditional weightlifting and strength and conditioning to calisthenics, we really lacked flexibility. And for many of the movements, all of the straddle movements, straddle press to handstand, stall to press, there's a lot. Pike, you need to be able to really, really open up through the hips. You need to be able to compress your body, and you need to be able to do pancakes and the splits. And we were a long way from that. Now, we had always trained for mobility to be able to do deep squatting and to be able to do healthy pressing, overhead squatting, but to take it to a new level, to be able to transition to inversion, handstands, muscle ups, all of those really cool calisthenics movements, it required us leveling up our flexibility and mobility a lot. One of the processes along that was to learn the difference between flexibility and mobility, and then to understand that, you know, in order to make functional range, you have to first increase the range and then strengthen in that increased range of movement. And that started to create a series of aha moments along the way for us as we sort of broadened our inner circle and started training with people who specialized in flexibility, mobility, and calisthenics. And you know, we're in a very unique position here at Unity Gym because we have this amazing facility here in the heart of Sydney, Australia, which is a tourist destination. It's a tourist mecca around the world. We can attract good people, you know, to come and train with us, and so we've really leveraged that over the last couple of years. And along the way, we learned so a couple of elements to flexibility that were really, really important. And one of them I spoke about a little bit yesterday, I said it, and I'm going to really drive that home over the next 7 days or next 6 days, is that flexibility and gaining flexibility is more about what's happening in the central nervous system than it is in the actual muscle tissue itself. Sure, when we stretch, we lengthen the muscle tissue, but it's what happens in the nervous system that is really, really changing how much you can hit your actual end ranges of movement and produce strength, display strength in those ranges of movement so it becomes functional. So you can actually load up a barbell and get down there safely, so that you can transition from a handstand or a pike to a handstand without blowing your shoulders out. You know, all of these things start to become really important. And the journey is more about breaking down inhibitors that your brain has created to protect you from harm than it is lengthening the tissue. The tissue lengthening process actually occurs quite quickly. Once you've warmed up your body, you can lengthen tissue very, very quickly. But it's the brain's inhibitor that's restricting it from going past a certain point that really, really takes time and takes a little bit of creativity to break down, because you almost there's an element of you getting yourself used to and getting your brain and central nervous system comfortable going there, and then proving to yourself and your body that it's safe and that you are strong there, and that you can, so that you can do it at will whenever you want without having to prep for it for hours and hours and hours, if that makes sense. So we'll get Richie to set up the camera, and I'm going to go out and demonstrate and prove to you how true this is, okay? Let's just set that camera up, Rich.
Yep. Loading now. Here we go. We're on.
All right. Let's hit the gym floor. So, as we go out here, the first thing I want to talk about is Rad. Just quickly, tell us how bad your voice is.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, that's good. Okay. I want to give you guys a great example here that we were taught a while ago. The concept of the brain inhibiting movement is very easy to demonstrate when we think about the pelvis and the hips. To do a perfect side splits, it is physiologically impossible not to do that, because there's no tendon joining this leg to that leg. There's only tendons and ligaments joining this leg to this pelvis, and this leg to this side of the pelvis. You've got the each side of the sacroiliac joint here, and they're kind of all separate. So in theory, if I can create a 90-degree bend here with no restriction, then surely considering that there's nothing joining, except right now my pants are the only restriction here, there's nothing joining that leg to that leg. So why can't I do that simultaneously with both legs at the same time? The reason why is because your brain restricts it from happening. The brain creates an inhibitor where it goes, no, I'm not going to let that leg and that leg go because that risks me injuring or tearing something. It puts me in a vulnerable position. For many of you, it's the same with the shoulders. When you're trying to do a barbell overhead press or an overhead squat, the thing restricting the arms from going into that position is actually not anything physical. It's your brain knowing that, okay, I'm not used to going there, so I will inhibit that movement because it's risking injury, you know. And so there's this big element of mobility and stretching. You have to trick the body. You have to figure out how you can get your body into a position, demonstrate to the body with enough stability that you have strength and stability there so that your brain starts to understand, okay, it's okay, I can go there. Because trust me, when you were born and when you were a toddler, a child, everyone can squat perfectly. Everyone can put their hands above their head in a deep squat perfectly, you know. There's very little restriction. If you watch a child move, I've got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and watching the kids move around, they have no restriction. You know, my 3.5-year-old does jiu-jitsu and they just flop around all over the floor and it's just incredible. Sometimes their shoulder, like when you pick them up or you're wrestling, their arm gets trapped behind and you think, my God, if an adult did that, their shoulder would have just become dislocated, you know. So you guys have to get your mind or head around the fact that, you know, developing flexibility is not just about lengthening the tendon. It's about teaching your central nervous system to feel comfortable going there, breaking down the brain's inhibitors that it has created over time. Now, the more neglect you've given your body, the less you've moved, the stronger those inhibitors are going to be. You know, that age-old saying, if you don't move it, you lose it, is so true with flexibility and mobility. If you don't move your body going through from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, then your body restricts that movement because it's no longer convinced that you can safely go there. I hope that makes sense. Now, back on point, the first thing we're going to demonstrate is the eccentric and isometric mobility drills that we're talking about today. Now, I have to apologize. We've bought these new uniforms. They've been sent over from America and they are very, very restrictive. I've already torn these pants here, you can see, twice because we do a lot of mobility drills with our clients and they're just not holding up. So if any of you guys watching, please comment in the comment section if you know of some really cool looking pants that are also like decent on trend that have some stretch in them. Comment, put a link in the comment section. If you've got any friends that have apparel companies, we got to find something for our uniform because we're a little bit more bendy than the average person and our clothes aren't coping with it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is what we call an eccentric stretch. And the eccentric stretch is literally, as it sounds, we're just going to eccentrically load and then we're going to come back up again. Nice and slow down. Eccentric. I'm stretching out my hamstrings. Feels really nice. Coming back up again. I'm very cold, so I'm taking it nice and easy. Nice and easy. And I'm 10 kilos in each hand here, which is enough to warm up. As I get a little bit more confident and a little bit more warm, I would go up to probably a 17 kilo dumbbell on this. Okay? So that's just demonstrating an eccentric. Now, at the bottom, I can do an isometric contraction where I'm holding a contraction in the hamstrings and I'm using that weight to hold me down there. I'm keeping my legs nice and straight. I can do that isometric contraction at different points where I feel straight. I can do it in a combination of keeping the lower back straight, the lumbar straight, or if I just quickly warm up my hamstrings a little bit, because I'm very, very cold. It's winter here it's autumn coming into winter here in Australia. These are just the ostrich walks. We demonstrated these yesterday. They're a great dynamic stretch for the hamstrings. They also help to get the heart rate up a little bit, which is very important before we stretch. We want to get the heart rate up. Very nice. Before any mobility drills, before any stretching drills, it's super important. We usually just do a 60-second hard sprint, 100% sprint on a cardio circuit or a piece of cardio equipment. We use ski ergs, rowers, anything like that, where you can really just go for it for 60 seconds to elevate the heart rate. It creates a much stronger connection on a cellular level with all of the muscle tissues and the chemicals that need to respond and react when we're working out. Okay, feeling a little bit warmer. So now I'm going to do a slightly different variation, hopefully my pants survive, where we allow our body to completely relax. We go into that isometric contraction. So I'm tensing my hamstrings at the bottom there and just allowing that to stretch down. Nice and easy, and I would hold that for 30 seconds, feeling a really nice deep stretch in the hammies, calves. And then I'd come back up again. Now, I would usually, if I was doing this in a workout, do it a little bit heavier, but these are advanced stretches. This is something that if you have, lower back issues or something like that, you'll have to start more gradually. Start slowly working up to it, but if you're strong, you want to feel the weight pulling you into that stretch, and you want to be able to really feel a nice bit of tension there. Remember, we are teaching our body that it's okay to go there. We're teaching our brain that it's okay to go there. So this is a very basic example of the eccentric and isometric contraction stretch for the hamstrings, but you can do this for almost everything. There are all sorts of different sort of loading variables, end range strength variables, FRC, that you can use for shoulders, that you can use for your lower extremities. There's a whole world of different possibilities and techniques with your mobility drills that you can use. Let's jump back into the studio. All right, Rad getting some important work done. Have a quick look at this. Just come back here for a sec. So what Rad, you're not in the, go to the movement mastermind. So for all of you guys here that we keep talking about, this is our movement mastermind Facebook group. Rad's in there every day, commenting, answering people's questions, all sorts of stuff. It's a constant 24/7. We've got moderators and admins in different countries around the world because we have people all over the world in our coaching program. So there's usually someone online 24/7 that will be able to answer your questions. Are we back on this camera now? Yep. Yeah, beautiful. Okay guys, so that's really all I want to cover today. It's a really, really important thing to understand that flexibility and mobility is not just about lengthening the tendons. It's about really, really starting to break down old, sometimes really, really old inhibitors in the brain. And there are many ways that you can do that. Now, obviously, there are certain people out there, if you've got, everything I demonstrated today is for someone that does not have a compromised body. So you don't have a massive disc blowout, or you don't have bulging discs or nerve issues in your lower back or things like that. If you are compromised, then you will have to work slower and regress the level of intensity of these movements, because if you've got an existing disc, we train people with disc bulges, spinal fusions, all sorts of stuff here. Both Rad and I have broken our spine. I fell off a horse when I was a kid. He fell down a ditch when he was in the army. We've both had severe spinal fractures. So, we know what it's like coming from quite a severe spinal injury, but you have to progress slowly. It's taken us years and years and years of training to build up to being able to do this and to do, 200 kilo deadlifts and things like that. So, I can't stress that enough. If you're injured or compromised, reach out to us. We can have a talk to you. leave a comment there, send us an email. I have linked the flexibility blueprint, which is all 7 steps. It's a report which you can read ahead and have a look at all these principles. We are going to be following through each day next week, Monday through Friday, to round up all 7 principles and demonstrate and discuss what they mean and how they apply in a practical sense out on the gym floor. I hope you learned something from that, guys, and I hope you've learned a lot this week. We've had some really, really great topics on the show this week, earlier on in the week on squatting and how to discover your ideal squat setup and things like that. We're going to continue on this path, taking you out on the gym floor. We're getting some really great feedback. Thank you everybody who's been sending us love. We appreciate and love and respect every single one of you, and we respect the time that you give us here on the show. So anyway, guys, it's a weekly wrap up for us here at Unity Gym. I would like to say thank you for joining us, and we will see you on Monday here in Sydney. Now stay tuned, we've got a couple of really great exercise demo videos coming out over the weekend or Monday morning. We're doing, I can't remember what they are, but they're both really great calisthenics progression movements. So stay tuned, keep an eye out for those, and give us some love, like them, share them, comment on them, because it helps us spread the word and spread the love. Health is about how your body performs and feels. It's not just about how your body looks. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.